Hi, I'm Tana Newberry. I am a professional and international psychic reader. I've performed over 10,000 reading sessions. I'm also an intuitive lifestyle coach, and I'm here to do Psychic Reader Q&A. As a psychic reader, as you can imagine, I hear a lot of same questions over and over, and so I'm here to share some of those questions with you and answer them for you. Okay, question number 1. What is the difference between an intuitive and a psychic? There's actually not a whole lot difference. I think people that are, if I can say, kind of starting out with their reading practice, they may feel more comfortable with the word intuitive because psychic generally is something that's been used. Even in some case, people have a derogatory or like negative connotation with the word psychic just because of that being an industry thing, and with the different types of value that you can get in your readings and the different kind of ways that they're done. People like to use the word intuitive because it feels a little softer and a little bit more accessible, and maybe if you say you're psychic, you have to be really good. I actually prefer using the word psychic because I think it is the truest form of what I do. It's actually psychic abilities that I'm using, so I like the word psychic. So in my opinion, someone who says they're intuitive or someone who says they're psychic, are they really doing something different? I don't think so. I think a lot of people feel more comfortable with the word intuitive, and maybe they'll stay comfortable with that word. But those who have a practice, sometimes I've seen a little bit longer, they move into an understanding and a confidence about using the word psychic, because intuitive abilities and psychic abilities are in essence really the same thing. Question number 2. What is the difference between a card reader and a psychic? Really good question. So a card reader is someone, let's just put two ends of the spectrum here just for argument's sake, okay? A card reader, if it was the opposite of a psychic reader, let's say, a card reader, they're still, when they shuffle the cards or they select the cards or they have their client, if they're doing a reading, select the cards, you can say that that's kind of an intuitive process. You could shuffle intuitively, you can choose the card intuitively or with your feeling or whatever. And so that part could be psychic, but a card reader will tend to read the definition of the card that either is, a tarot meaning, that is like a standard meaning that is for that card, or even with like an oracle deck or something like that. It's a little different than tarot. Each deck is a little different, oracle decks. So they'll rely upon the meaning of the card to really deliver the content and the information in the reading. Whereas a psychic reader is actually someone who may or may not use a different tool like cards or whatever, but they're actually getting information either from their connection, their spirit guides, or their whatever. We'll talk about spirit guides in a bit. There's a question for that. But they're actually getting information in a very psychic way and very, very, very not at all paying attention to the actual definitions as law of what that card is going to mean. For example, if you pull up a card that says, there's going to be abundance brought to you. Let's say there was this card, abundance brought to you by a tall, dark-haired man. If they knew that that's what that card represented, they would give you and deliver you that information. However, a psychic is going to kind of almost in a way, if you're anything like me, challenge the information you see on the card and dig deep for a lot of different pieces of information that are not in that card meaning at all. So in my opinion, a truer psychic reading is done by someone who does not rely on the tools themselves for the exact information, but stops for a moment and connects with something else that has, an abundance and wealth of information for you, and through your psychic abilities actually delivers really finite, very specific answers that are pertinent to the questions you may have asked. I myself am a psychic reader. Even though I do use cards, I very, very rarely will need to know the exact meaning of a card, and I will get all the information from my psychic connection, which allows me a greater opportunity to get specifics for you. Question number 3. I like this one. Can a psychic read your mind? Yes and no. We're not walking around knowing if you washed your hands in the bathroom, if that's what you mean. So as a psychic, and I think many psychics can do, we can get information from the energies that are around you. For example, when I tune into somebody, I can tell a lot about a person I'm usually not reading their thoughts or their mind. That's not exactly how it works. See, in my psychic readings, the information that I'm given is always from my clients' guides or from my guides. And so information kind of has to come to me. Although when you do have an intuitive and psychic sense, there is information you can pick up on. You can tell how someone's feeling. You can maybe tell a little bit about what's coming up for them. You can tell, there's all sorts of information you can get just by like tuning into a person, even without it being handed down to you. But I wouldn't say we could read your mind. So if you have a couple of thoughts you wanted to keep to yourself, rest assured, we're not inside your head. It doesn't exactly work like that. Question number 4, can a psychic tell the future? Yeah, not all psychics. People specialize in different things. I, for one, know that you can tell the future because I do it all the time. My specialty is reading the future predictions, and yeah, it can happen. Is it 100%? I'll go into this more maybe in another video, but no, it's not, because actually what I'm reading and what I'm getting when I'm doing and conducting a reading session is a lot more like probabilities, believe it or not, because with almost anything, there is a number of people involved and everyone has free will and everyone can choose whatever decisions they're gonna make, and it can alter the course of something, either set something forward, set something back, or take something totally off track from happening at all. So really what I'm doing when I'm looking at future predicting is I'm really being told and being shown probabilities, and the closer the situation is on the timeline, the less probabilities there are, and so I can kind of nail it down pretty closely. I've nailed down things, to the day, to the week, to the month, but if we're talking about something that's years in advance, it might be more vague, like 4 to 5 years or something like that. The thing that really matters is not really what the question is, but how many things have been decided and will begin to unfold because you've decided, and how many decisions you're solid on, or again, how many decisions those who are also involved in that question, how many decisions are they solid on? Because if they're really solid, it won't really change course much. But because everybody is human and we all have free will, future predictions are just probabilities. And so I boil it down to a prediction, but really what I'm doing is I'm getting information about the probabilities, and Spirit's giving me what I need to know at the moment. Number 5, can all psychics see dead people? No, not all psychics can see dead people. A lot of them can. For example, I have really never seen, other than dream time, spirit walk in and, start talking to me, like standing right in front of me. However, I can hear people on the other side. I just can't see them. So when you say, can all psychics see dead people? It's kind of like the same question, can all psychics read the future? No, there's actually a lot of different abilities and different things that people have specialized in. And so a psychic medium is someone who's going to be able to probably, talk to people who've passed a lot easier because they have whatever mechanisms allow them to do that. I can do it, but like I said before, I specialize in future predictions, which most psychics don't like because that's not their ability. Mediumship is very common. A lot of psychics can see dead people. I can hear them much more than I can see them. So sometimes when someone says, what do they look like? I'm like, I don't know, but they're saying this. So can all psychics see dead people? No. Can all psychics read the future? No, but all psychics can do something that is psychic, and sometimes they specialize in just that thing. I like this question too. Number 6, if you're psychic, do you know everything? No, I don't know everything. Come on, could you even know everything? So I get this question actually a lot because people are like, oh, you're psychic, you should have known that. I'm like, in what world was I told that out of importance? Like, oh, your car got dinged. You're psychic, you should have known that. I'm like, I didn't ask for that information and it wasn't given to me. So no, I didn't know it. So we don't know everything. Like I said, we don't know what you're thinking. We don't know what's in your head all the time. We don't know everything. We're known what we're given or what we look to see. And a lot of times psychics mind their own business. I definitely mind my own business when I'm at the grocery store. I don't need to be reading a bunch of people. It's like, just a bunch of peanut gallery noise. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter to me. So a lot of times we tune out on purpose, and that's why we don't know everything about everything. Here's a fun question. Question number 7. Are psychics judgy? Are we judgy? No. I mean, I can't say for everybody, but you know, when you're privy to a lot of extra information, you stop really getting super surprised by anything. So are we judgy? Absolutely not. I've had people talk to me about all sorts of things, and you know, most people are just looking for guidance and looking for peace and looking for, you know, some sort of, you know, way out of their situation. And so no, psychics are not typically at all judgy. You could talk to them about anything. You could bring up what's challenging you. You can allow yourself a safe space to look at any flaws or character defects or whatever it is that you feel is holding you back, and get, you know, real spirit guidance about it and not feel like you're being super judged. People ask me all the time, like, I'm in love with this person who's married, like, I'm so sorry to even ask. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, this is what's going on in your life. Like, let's talk about it. So no, opposite of judgy. Most people who are psychics and conduct psychic readings handle all sorts of things. If you've thought it, if you've been through it, if you understand what it's like to be that person, we do too, because we can see that about the situation as well. So are we judgy? No, we're not judgy. Question number 8, is getting a psychic reading scary? You would never believe how many times I've been asked this, or if people, you know, kind of like their friend bought them a reading, they're like, I don't know, I was really scared to talk to you. I was really scared to ask you this question. And the truth is it's not scary at all. If you're going to a certain kind of psychic that preys on fear, and that's like a thing, because I do believe that exists. I've heard people tell stories like that. But from someone like me who's just, you know, a psychic reader, who you can ask any kind of question to, and we're not, you know, breaking any curses or doing anything like that. Is a reading scary? And it's just really not. I mean, really what happens is it actually invokes a lot of peace, a lot of clarity, a lot of empowerment, and they're just gentle nudges in the right direction. A lot of people ask me, like, am I going to find out when I die? I'm like, no, not if you don't want to. And I won't either, because I won't be told that information unless you want it, which no one does, you know. But like, I'm not going to get information from your guides or from my guides that's not going to work for you. It's all constructive, it's all peaceful, it's all loving, it's all positive. It really is. Even the things that are hard to talk about come across as very peaceful, positive, and loving. So no, it's not scary to get a psychic reading. Number 9, I think I've had a few psychic moments. Does it mean that I'm psychic? Why, yes, it does. I actually believe, along with many, many others that are like me, that everyone is psychic. Everyone is psychic. So it just matters to what degree you have it developed, to what degree your awareness of it is. And yeah, a lot of people have psychic moments, and they have those moments, but they feel like they can never control their abilities beyond that or tap into them at will. And we'll talk about that in another question, but it does just have to do with repetition and practice. And there are ways to do that. That's why I've really dedicated a lot of my work towards developing people's abilities. So if you did have a couple of psychic encounters or situations that came up, yes, they really were psychic. And yes, you really are psychic. Perfect follow-up question. Number 10, what are the clairs? So you'll hear a lot of psychics talk about the clairs. The clairs are clairvoyance, which is psychic clear seeing, clairaudience, which is psychic clear hearing, clairsentience, which is psychic clear feeling, and claircognizance, which is psychic clear knowing, which is another way of putting that is like knowing something instantly, or some people say downloads. So the clairs are just the 4 different channels. The main ones, the main clairs, are the 4 different channels in which you'll receive information. For example, if Sheila's calling on the phone, ring, 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 and it's Sheila, how did you know? Did you see her in your mind and say, oh, I know it's Sheila? Did you hear it's Sheila on the phone, or hear some likeness of her voice? Did you ring, ring, ring and get a feeling like, oh my gosh, I just feel like it's Sheila on the phone? Or did the phone ring, ring, ring and you were just like, pick it up, it's Sheila. And you don't even know how you knew it was her. It was just like that part didn't even happen. You just automatically knew it was her. That's a really good example of what the 4 clairs are. And you can get information in more than one way. But a lot of times one of those clairs will be the strongest for you, or you'll be most predispositioned to it. And so that can be the psychic ability you can lean on the most for most accurate information. I myself am primarily clairaudient, so I really trust the words, phrases, and sentences I hear when Spirit speaks to me. And I also feel a lot, so I get a feeling about who someone is. I'm less visual. I do get visuals, and the way I get them is kind of in my mind. So I call this a slate in your mind. If I say picture a green apple in your mind, a green apple goes somewhere in your imagination. I can get information there, but my strongest ability is clairaudience, which is clear hearing, words, sentences, and phrases, and also feelings. Number 11, is telepathy real? Guess what? It is real. So if you think someone likes you, are you right? You might be. You might be. The thing that creates psychic telepathic connection, which is just mental connection of information from one person to another, is strong emotional impact. And so there could be a number of examples of strong emotional impact. It could be the connection between a mother and a child. That's a very strong emotional connection. There could be someone who really is sort of like feeling all in love feelings about another person. Okay, that's high emotional impact. Or any other scenario that creates high emotional impact. These are the birthing grounds for telepathic connection. And on the flip side of that, the thing that actually detours telepathy is apathy. So if you don't care about a thing or a person, it's very unlikely that you'll have a telepathic connection with them. So when we start thinking about someone we really like or someone we care about, and we start having all these feelings and thoughts come into our mind, I'm not going to say every one of them is psychic, but I bet you more of them than you think are actually psychic, because that high emotional impact is connecting the two of you and information is being exchanged. And I'll follow up on all things telepathy in another video real soon. Number 12, are dreams of people who've passed real? Are my dreams of people who've passed real? A lot of times, yes, they are. I'll give you a couple things to look for. When you saw the person who's passed in your dream, did they seem to stand out in a certain way? They didn't fit into the background. Were they glowing? Were they smiling without speaking? If they don't speak, it's probably because there's more of a telepathic connection, which also means that it could be a very psychic thing. So look at the background of your dream, and then looking at the person who is your loved one passed, and does it feel unique? Does it feel special? Because we absolutely do have dream visitations more than we actually remember. So if you're remembering one, there's a very, very good chance that was a real dream visitation. Those on the other side visit us in our dreams all the time when our mind is a little more at rest and able to receive and not so distracted throughout the day. Number 13, do psychic abilities run in families? Yes, it does. It does run in families. I do believe that the ultimate psychic instrument we have is just our body. So we do pass down physical traits, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I also think that certain soul groups that maybe kind of incarnate and play together on Earth, if you will, also have similar themes that they work on, and our families are definitely one of the ways our soul family can reconnect with us over and over by kind of being in the same family unit. And so it's very common that a theme you would have in your life is also a spiritual theme that your family has. And so yes, I do believe and have seen time and time again that psychic abilities can and do run in families. And so if there was someone in your family that was particularly intuitive, you do probably have the gift as well. And everyone has the gift, but you might be more predispositioned or inclined to be able to use that gift in a really proficient, profound way. Number 14, what's the deal with crystals? I like that question. What's the deal with crystals? Okay, so crystals are cool. They're science, because science. So think about it. We use crystals in watches and technology and flash drives and computers and all that. And the reason why is because, okay, here we go. Crystal riff. Everything in your world, this desk, my phone, the lights, everything all has an atomic structure, and the atoms are bouncing around and varying and doing all sorts of kind of weird, wavy things. But the atomic structure of a crystal is locked in, and so even when it bounces, it gives a mathematical precision to exactly what its frequency is, or the wave that it's creating from those atoms and particles moving and bouncing around. So stay with me here. So a crystal, if you will, is something that is always singing the same note. So let's say this desk that I'm sitting in front of had a musical note. Let's just pretend I can sing for a second. Okay, it would sing a song like, it would like vary, all right? My body would be another thing that would absolutely vary in frequency. But even the solid items like our chairs and our walls vary in its frequency. But crystals are one note. Always returning back to the same frequency. Sorry about the singing. Anyways, the crystals come back to one frequency, and so they're very mathematically precise, and they always sing that tune or always have that frequency, okay? So when people say this stone does this or this stone does this, it's because of a system of what's called entrainment. If you were to drop a pebble into a river, or let's say a pond that was just no ripples, if you drop one pebble here and one pebble here, it would make two ripples, and where those two ripples touch, they affect each other and change the actual diameter and the actual angle of those ripples. So a crystal, if you will, having one particular precise, always known frequency can affect another frequency in the same way each time. So for example, rose quartz, people attribute to feeling very loving and very soft. So a rose quartz is going to be for me what it is for you and what it is for anybody, because its frequency is always the same, and how I'm affected and how someone else is affected can vary, but the frequency we're introducing by bringing that crystal into our space, the frequency is specific and always the same. So that's why people say certain crystals are good for certain things. And if that wasn't sciencey enough and you want me to go into more detail, put it in the comments below and I'll do another crystal riff sometime. But it is science, it is mathematical equation, it is frequency, and it is real. It's not as woo-woo as you think. Crystals are a real deal, they're the real thing. And we get the spiritual meaning of crystals from all sorts of walks of life and religious and spiritual backgrounds and lifestyles and cultures. And so those meanings for crystals are very special, and that's why we incorporate crystals a lot in this community to create and affect the change we want. Number 15, what is the best way to develop my abilities? So I could just go on and on about this because I do, because I have all sorts of psychic development offerings, whether it be courses or classes or videos or whatever. But I think the real thing is you just got to practice. To develop your psychic abilities, you need to have a number of experiences to know your abilities, know how you're getting information, actually have someone that you're sharing with give you feedback, and then you need to grow from your awareness. So the thing is you need to just be aware of it. You got to start cataloging it. You got to start having enough experiences where you gather some data, because everyone is really psychic, but everyone's a little different. So to really know thyself, you have to kind of apply yourself. So the more you use your abilities, or try to use your abilities, or seek to use your abilities, the more you're going to develop them. It's kind of like going to a gym. Everybody can, lift a dumbbell, but however well you can do it, or how long you can do it, or how proficient you can be at it is going to depend on how much you've worked it out and practiced it, and how well you know what you're capable of. So how do you develop your abilities? Jump in, have some fun. Jump in often, jump in a lot, have a lot of fun, and keep getting feedback for your hits, your psychic hits. And the best way to do that, I think, is to do practice readings. And I even have a free group on Facebook called Practice Your Psychic Readings. All you have to do is be at least a student of my free training course. Anyways, if you want to go in there and practice, it's a really safe space, or find your own safe space where you can practice and get feedback. And this will be the best gift you can give to developing your psychic abilities. Number 16, Tana, what do you mean intuitive lifestyle? So as many of you know and see, I refer to myself as an intuitive lifestyle coach. What does that mean? Well, it means an intuitive lifestyle means that you're approaching your life with your intuition at the forefront and at a very important part of your day-to-day. So this means you're making decisions, you're creating your boundaries, you're making choices, you're behaving and thinking, all with the mindset of being led by spirit or being guided by spirit at all times. So this may look like having boundaries where if something doesn't feel right to you, you recognize your intuition is not jiving and you steer clear of it. It could be that you're really developing your abilities and this is an activity that you do quite often and you put your time, love, and attention into it. Whatever it is for you, it just means that you're kind of being spirit guided and spirit led in everything you do. Be that person who busts out a pendulum at the car lot. I've done it. That's an intuitive lifestyle. It means that everything you're approaching with your intuition at the forefront, always asking what you feel the guidance is and allowing yourself to be led. Number 17, can you give readings to yourself? You can give readings to yourself, but the thing I always tell people is if you're very, very emotionally connected to the question, you might be in the way of it a little bit. Okay, so I can do a daily practice day in and day out, pulling cards for the day and getting guidance. But when I want to look at something that's going on in my life that's really hard, it's hard to stand back and actually hear spirit guidance over all my worries and over all my preferences. So I don't always rely on reading for myself in those moments. That's when I ask a friend, phone a friend, or grab a psychic or anybody I want to consult and have them do a reading for me instead. So I can read myself all day long, but when I'm very, very connected and emotionally attached, it makes it hard to see. That's why I also tell people that it's not always the greatest idea to start reading your friends and family that you're very close to, because you won't be able to drown out the voice of your ego or yourself, because the voice of intuition can be quieter, much, much quieter than our native thoughts. So what I usually tell people is read strangers, as scary as that sounds. Read strangers and you'll know your abilities much, much better. And the same token, if one of my friends or family members, or God, especially a love interest, wants a reading, I have a couple people in my pocket that I refer them right out to that don't know anything about them. And that's when, in my opinion, you're going to get the best reading. Question number 18. Can you tell if someone's pregnant? Yeah, I can. Typically, I can tell if someone's pregnant. I'm a future predictor, so I can often tell people are going to get pregnant before they're pregnant. And so when they ask me, I tell them, or I kind of ask if they want to know anything in that department, and then I'll tell them, because if I get the information, it's often because I'm supposed to share it. Every once in a while, I get information that's just so that I understand it. But most of the time when I get information, I share it with you, and some of the information I do get sometimes covers this section of, am I going to have a baby? When will I have a baby? Who will I have a baby with? Am I pregnant now? And yeah, a psychic can usually tell if someone's going to get pregnant or is pregnant. Yeah. Question number 19. Are our past pets on the other side? Absolutely. I do readings all the time, especially for those that are very connected to their pets, are very connected with the animals. Some of the first things I see around them are the pets that have passed. So I really do believe they're all with us on the other side. I do believe they come and visit us. If you felt like the end of your bed kind of sunk in for a minute and you remembered your sweet cat that you lost and you're kind of thinking of them at that moment, I absolutely 100% see animals on the other side all the time, and they're both showing up for us in our day-to-day life, in our dreams, and I do believe we'll be with them again. Do they reincarnate and come back to us? I have gotten a feeling like that many, many times, where I see a soul sort of return to someone in another animal. So that's a little bit about pets. Yeah, they are on the other side, and I also think they return to us too. Last question, this is a good one. Number 20, what is a spirit guide? A spirit guide is a loose term for anybody in spirit, meaning not physical, but in spirit, that is going to guide you. Family members who have passed are definitely in this category. Spiritual teachers that you've had for many lifetimes or incarnations in any other way, pre-existence, post-existence, just past lives, however you want to think about it. We do have a lot of soul family and they stay with us. We also have spirit guides that kind of, I think, are like assigned caseworkers. Yeah, I get the feeling that they come in and help us with certain things that we're challenged with in our life at that moment, and some of those kind of guides come and go. Definitely people do always believe they have angels around them. I would agree with that. I do sense angel presences around people all the time. And if I'm looking for a type of spirit guide around you, I can usually find them because we, in truth, have a huge entourage of spirit helpers available and at our disposal, like all the time. So we have a huge amount of support on the other side. And when I do a reading and someone asks, I may single out just a few, but there's just a ton more standing right behind them. So you can do a lot of work on spirit guides and almost probably never finish, because just like you have a million relationships in your life today, you also have a lot of spiritual relationships, and they're all working in your favor on the other side. Thanks everybody, that was fun. That was your psychic reader Q&A, and if you have any more questions that you'd like me to answer in a future video, drop us there in the comments and I will get to them another time. And yeah, just go out and live your best life and try to remember that an intuitive lifestyle is available to you, and if you need help with that, you know where to find me. Bye.